everyone, and welcome to the Boxcryptor for Teams webinar, the first one after the summer break. My name is Elizabeth, and I will be your host today. I hope you had a chance to enjoy your summer holidays, you have recharged the batteries, and now you're back to your projects again. If protecting the data in the cloud is part of your current projects, then you're definitely at the right place. My agenda for today would be to show you how Boxcryptor works, which means how files and folders are encrypted, how sharing of the encrypted data works, how would you go when you would like to share the access to external people, how the management console looks like, and how does the Boxcryptor for Teams app work. This webinar will be recorded and the recording will be sent afterwards to everybody that has signed up. And if you might have some questions in the meantime, you can use the chat or the Q&A section. Okay, so let's get started. Right at the beginning, I would like to show you a little bit around our website. If you have checked out the Boxcryptor in the last few months, you have already noticed that we have a brand new website, which is really nice, and it holds all of the information that might be of interest in case you're working on any data protection projects at the moment. So Boxcryptor consists of two parts. One of them is the software, which you download from our download section directly on the device on which you would like to work with the encrypted data. So the website detects automatically what kind of operating system do you use. As you can see, Boxcryptor supports Windows and macOS, as well as Microsoft Teams, as I mentioned. And in case, let's say you have some team members which are not every day in the office, they're outside on the road, and they might need to access some encrypted files while being there, and they use mobile devices like smartphones or tablets. So Boxcryptor also has the respective app for each of it. We also have the portable version, which is used mostly if you have a Linux machine or you don't have any administrator permissions on the device on which you would like to work with Boxcryptor. So downloading Boxcryptor on your device is necessary because the encryption also happens locally, and afterwards the chosen cloud storage provider is syncing the data to the cloud. So you will see how does that work. So if we go back to the beginning of the website, not just downloading Boxcryptor, but you can directly start with a free company trial so that you will have a chance to do some testing. Everything that I'm going to show you today will be available within your trial as well. You can add your team members so that you can do the testing together and of course, share the feedback afterwards. The trial is valid for 2 weeks and you get all of the regular features that are available. And if you decide to implement a Boxcryptor afterwards, you will get to keep the configuration that you have set during the trial. So they won't be starting from scratch. Upon licensing the team account, you just continue with the usage. Okay, so now as soon as you have downloaded Boxcryptor and already signed up for an account, I am not going to show this step. I assume that everybody will deal with it. And what happens after that? So when you sign into your Boxcryptor account, what you will see is the so-called Boxcryptor virtual drive popping up here. So the Boxcryptor virtual drive is actually virtual. It doesn't take any physical space from your machine, but it is needed as a layer, as the way where you will tell your team members to come over to the Boxcryptor drive whenever they want to either encrypt data or they want to access the files or folders that are encrypted. So Boxcryptor automatically detects any cloud storage providers that you're syncing on your machine. It can be also detecting NAS, local file shares, and if by some reason you don't see anything appearing here automatically, you can add it manually by doing a right click over the Boxcryptor icon and visiting the settings. So the first tab is the locations tab, and if you want to add, let's say, an external hard disk or a USB stick, or even a simple folder which is on your machine, you can do this by clicking the add button and giving the path to the storage that you would like to add. Afterwards, it will appear as a location here under the Boxcryptor drive. So once you are here, that doesn't mean that everything that Boxcryptor is showing will be automatically encrypted. It is actually the moment of choosing which cloud storage would you like to use and what type of data would you like to encrypt. So Boxcryptor works both with files and folders. And for the demo today, I will be using OneDrive. So let me go ahead, let me open the cloud version on my OneDrive so that you will be able to see both windows next to each other. Okay, so as you can see, I have the cloud version of OneDrive over here and my Boxcryptor virtual drive. So I have the same folder structure on both sides, and now I will show you how Boxcryptor works. With Boxcryptor, you can either encrypt already existing folders or files, or you can encrypt brand new files or folders which you create directly from the virtual drive. So if we go ahead and take the existing folder that I have over here, what I would need to do in order to encrypt it, if it's doing a right click over the folder, going to the Boxcryptor menu and choose the encrypt option. So Boxcryptor will guide us through the process and it will encrypt the folder. As you can see, when encrypting existing data, the thing that Boxcryptor does is that, first of all, it adds this green square here so that it's showing us that the folder is encrypted. And in addition to this, you also get this suffix underscore encrypted, which is a way for you to distinguish, let's say, which data is encrypted and which is not. So as you have probably noticed, Microsoft has also synced this change. And now this folder has the is already encrypted and it has the new naming in the cloud version as well. So this suffix is something that you get while encrypting existing data. Otherwise, when you just go ahead and, let's say, create a brand new folder from the Boxcryptor drive, this doesn't happen. So here Boxcryptor is asking us if I want, if the folder needs to be encrypted. So upon choosing yes, Boxcryptor will also automatically encrypt the folder, and we will see it appearing here after the Microsoft synchronization has finished. So in this case, we also got the green square, but there is no suffix. As you can see, the name remains. So this is a small difference between encrypting existing and new data. As you saw, there was a question from Boxcryptor asking me if I want to encrypt this folder upon creating it directly from the virtual drive. So if you would like to, you can skip this question and make sure that everything your team creates within the Boxcryptor drive is automatically encrypted. And this is done through the administrator policy, which is something that I will also show you as well. Okay, so here's the new folder that I have just created. and everything that goes into an encrypted folder will be also automatically encrypted. But before that, let me just show you how would I set the access permission. So this would be once again a right click and going to the Boxcryptor menu. So you will see as soon as you, let's say, have a chance to do some testing with the Boxcryptor that the usage is fairly simple, and more or less you're mostly working with the right click function when you're on a Windows machine. So in this case, I will choose the manage permissions feature, so that here I can add the users that will have access to the folder that I have just encrypted. So at this point, I have two options. I can either add individual users by simply typing their email address. Here, we assume that you have already added this person as a user under your team account. Or what you could also do is use the group feature. So the groups are being created also from the administrator console, and actually using the group feature is something that we recommend. I see that I know that you might have some cases, let's say, when you want to share a file or a folder with only one or two people, but let's say if you have a management team of 10 people, and instead of doing the same operation and sharing the access to this folder 10 different times, what you could do is create a group for your management team and place the team members in this group so that you can go ahead and assign the group access permissions. So now all of the synchronization that is going to happen from Microsoft is going to be done only once, comparing it, for example, to having 10 different people in this team and doing the assignment of the access permission 10 different times. So our recommendation is definitely to get use of the group feature. You don't have to use the group feature only for the teams. For example, you can also use it if different teams are working on different projects. So let's say you can create a group for each project and assign them access permission this way. Okay, so as I said, everything that goes into an encrypted folder will be also automatically encrypted, and it will inherit the access permissions from the top folder. So now here I have some test data so that I can show you how does that work. So if I go ahead and place this finance report in the encrypted folder, Boxcryptor will also automatically encrypt it. And as soon as it's done, we will see the green square here. And also now we will go ahead and check if it has been synced by Microsoft, so that I will show you how does that look like on the cloud side. Yes, the synchronization is already done. So here is the file through the Boxcryptor virtual drive, and here is the file through the cloud drive. So in addition to the green square that we are able to see here from the Boxcryptor drive, when we are looking at the file from the cloud version of OneDrive, you see it has an extension .bc, BC because of Boxcryptor. So this is another way for you to distinguish the data which has been encrypted or not. What happens, for example, if let's say Microsoft tries to access the data that you keep on their servers, or if there is a breach within the, let's say, OneDrive account, because I'm using OneDrive as an example, but it doesn't really matter what kind of cloud storage provider are we talking about. So the files will be visible, but what happens when somebody tries to open them, somebody that doesn't have the access permissions through Boxcryptor and doesn't use Boxcryptor to open this data. So this is everything that they will see, which is practically nothing. So this is the protection that Boxcryptor provides for the sensitive data that you store in the cloud. You're making yourself sure that only you have control of the data, and you don't give any way for an unauthorized access to the sensitive files in the cloud. When I say you don't give any way, I also include Boxcryptor as a vendor, because upon creating your Boxcryptor account, we don't know what kind of a password do you set for your user account, and the password is directly associated with the encryption keys. So with that said, Boxcryptor is a zero knowledge provider, and we have no technical way of seeing what kind of data do you encrypt with our software. Okay, so in case you would like to go a step further and make sure that maybe some data shouldn't be even recognizable from its name, what kind of content do I have inside of this file? So if you want to, let's say, encrypt the file name, this is also an option through Boxcryptor. What you could do is just go ahead and do the same, right click once again and choose the enable file name encryption. So what Boxcryptor will do now is transform the name into a random string of Asian characters. So this is how that looks like. And in this case, for example, if somebody by some reason has access to this file through your cloud storage provider, through OneDrive in my example, so they won't be even able to recognize what exactly is this file, what kind of content do you have here. However, from your Boxcryptor view, from your Boxcryptor virtual drive, you're always able to see the real name of the data. If by some reason you don't want to use the feature anymore, or you just wanted to test it and see how does that work, but you decided not to use it, so once again, you can go ahead, do the right click and disable the file name encryption. So Boxcryptor will retrieve the original name of the data. Okay, so this is how this is the most regular function of Boxcryptor when it comes to encrypting the files and sharing them access permissions. So this is what typically your team members would work with from their side. And there is one other option that I would like to inform you about, because there might be some cases if some of your team members are working on specific projects and they need to share this data with external people, external collaborators, but let's say you don't want to add the external collaborators as users under your team plan. If let's say you don't want to teach them how should they work with a new software, or you just don't want to spare user seat from your team account, what could be done in this case is to use Wisply. Wisply is the second security product that we have developed, and it is fully incorporated within Boxcryptor. And as I said in the beginning, it's also available as part of your trial account as soon as you start testing Boxcryptor. So how do we go about using Wisply? Once again, right-click Boxcryptor and create a Wisply link. We choose this option. Just as a small explanation, so the principle of work for Wisply is similar to when, for example, you create a public link for a file that you want to share directly from your OneDrive with another external person. So this, the process is similar. but with the main difference that now we are talking about sharing encrypted data in a safe manner. So how does that work? When you click on the Create Wisply link, Boxcryptor will lead us through this process and bring us to Wisply's website. And here we get a chance to choose few more options, like an expiry date. You can set it for, let's say, 1 hour, 12 hours, days, etc., or even make it a one-time download, so that you are kind of protecting the file from further downloads in case your recipient decides to share the link with other people, although what happens afterwards is the responsibility of the recipient. So here at the next step, you get a chance to choose either PIN or password if you want to. And our recommendation is, for example, if you do share the link over email, maybe you can choose another channel to share the PIN or the password, let's say an SMS or something like that. I mean, you can even call a person and give them the PIN or the password like that. I will choose the link option in the demo so that I will show you how does that work, and I will copy it to the clipboard. And let's say now I'm sending it to the recipient. So the external person, the person that is receiving this link from me, doesn't need Boxcryptor in order to get this data. He or she needs just a browser with an internet connection, and of course the link and maybe the password or the PIN if I have chosen this option. So everything happens now through the browser after adding the link, and the external recipient gets a chance to download the file on their site. So a Boxcryptor will decrypt the file through the browser, and the recipient will be able to download it. So assuming that you have used the Wisply option in order to send some data, we might say that we are talking about sensitive files. So if this file will be amended by the recipient, and you would also prefer that they would send it back to you in a safe manner. This is why you have chosen to work with Boxcryptor and Wisply, and you haven't sent the file via email instead. So what you can do in this case, after your external recipient has amended your file and they want to give it back to you, you can ask them to come back to Wisply's website and do the same procedure through the browser, so that in this case you will be the recipient, but the difference is that on your side you can actually go ahead and download the file directly on your site in your Boxcryptor folder, so that it will be automatically encrypted as well. So what you would do is basically you are closing the loop of secure exchange and make sure that the data is not accessible by anybody else. So the Wisply option would be used mostly when you or your team members are sharing files, not that frequently, maybe once per week, once per month, or something like that. Otherwise, if your team members are working on a project and they do need to exchange data extensively with external people, you would prefer to add them as users under your Boxcryptor team plan. And afterwards, once the project is over, you can, let's say, disable their user accounts once they don't need to access the data anymore. And that's it. You can do it like this. Otherwise, for a not so frequent data exchange, you can definitely rely on Wisply. Okay, so the last part from the user point of view would be the Boxcryptor for Teams app. So the usage over here is also very simple. Once Boxcryptor is being installed from an administrator on your side and added as an app, Boxcryptor is visible in 3 places. One of them would be here on the left side, which gives you a direct connection with your personal OneDrive. And you can see all of the data that you have over there. For example, here is the new folder that I have created today and the existing folder that I have encrypted for the demo. You can also find Boxcryptor over here on the top as a channel app where you can encrypt the files that the team members are sharing within this channel. So it works really on the same principle as if you upload data through the Files tab on Teams, with the small difference that now you're actually going to encrypt the data. So here we also have the files that are already encrypted when I have added them previously. You have, for example, several options on the side of each file, and one of them is really useful, the copy link option. So for example, instead of me saying, hey, I have uploaded the balance sheet in our channel, what I can do, I can go ahead and copy the link and share the link to the encrypted data with my team members. And the other place where you're able to find Boxcryptor is over here at the bottom as a messaging app. So here you have 2 options. You can either upload encrypted files. So as I said, this is really more or less the same as the Files tab. So let me just use some file for an example as an example so that you can see how Boxcryptor operates within Teams. So it's really nicely integrated, and you can do directly everything here within Teams. So now here is the file. It is already encrypted and uploaded, and I can paste the information for the rest of the team so that they will be able to work with the data as well. So now the file is also visible here as soon as the synchronization, of course, is finished. Yes, here is the file. And the other option that I have mentioned is also through Boxcryptor, you can send encrypted messages. So let's say if your team members are exchanging some sensitive details also through the messages in Teams, either in channels or in direct chats, one-on-one chats. So this the data within these messages can be protected. So let's say we are talking about some phone number, and now upon writing the data, you can encrypt the message and send it so that the people that are part of this channel, assuming that they're also part of our Boxcryptor team plan, they will be able to decrypt and view the message that you have just sent. So as I said, this is available both here within the channel, and you can also do the same actions with a Boxcryptor in a one-on-one chat. So it is once again available here as a messaging app, and you have both options to upload encrypted files or send encrypted messages. So you can exchange securely data within your team. And what you could also do with the Boxcryptor for Teams app is that you can securely exchange data with guests that you have added within your different channels. So for example, here I have Jane added as a guest, and Jane will be able to see the data that I am encrypting and sharing here with Boxcryptor. Okay, so as I said, that's everything that you need to know when it comes to the user side of Boxcryptor. So what is really important is for you as an administrators, the management console, the place where you get to manage your Boxcryptor team account, add users, activate policy, and everything else. So the centralized management portal for you to deal with everything related to the Boxcryptor team account. So let me just sign into my account over there so that I will show you how does that look like. Okay, first of all, when you sign into your Boxcryptor account, you are seeing the part with the grid color. So this is your individual account, and only the administrators are able to see the manage organization option from the menu on the left. So when you click on it, you are actually being transferred to the administrator section. The difference is also in the color. So in the individual part has the green color, and the team part, the administrator part, has the blue color. So right at the start, you have the master key. This is something that you will activate immediately upon starting your trial account. This is one of the most important features with Boxcryptor. And why do you need it immediately? Because the master key is like a wrapper on top of all of the encryption keys from your users, and you would use it in on two different occasions. One of them, if you remember, as I said in the beginning, Boxcryptor doesn't know what kind of password do you set as a user. And in this case, if some of your team members forgets or loses their account password, and they decide to do a password reset on their own, what would happen is that the set of encryption keys that they have will be deleted, and that means that they will lose access to the encrypted data. So you might think, okay, maybe that's not that bad. They have shared the files with their team, so the team members will share it once again with them. Yes, but you might also expect that there might be some files which a user has encrypted and hasn't shared the access to this data with anybody else. So in this case, nobody will be able to access these encrypted files. And in order to overcome this, instead of letting the team members doing a password reset on their own, you will be doing the password reset from your side with the master key, so that your team members won't lose any access to the encrypted data. The second occasion is when taking this same example about team members encrypting some company data without sharing it with anybody else from the team, but at one point they leave the organization and nobody has access to these files because nobody also knows their password. So in this case, you will also use the master key once again in order to decrypt the files that have been encrypted. So this is why the master key is really important, and you need to have it directly at the start, even for the testing part, so that you know how does that work. The next part is the user section. So this is the place where you add your team members as users. You can do this by importing, let's say, a list of users. All you need to have is first name, last name, and email address. You can add users one by one. Once again, adding these three fields: first name, last name, and email address, upon which you get a temporary password that you need to share with your team member, and they will use it upon their first login and then update their password. And because you have already activated the master key before adding your team members, they will be automatically added as part of the master key. So they won't have to do anything additional. Adding the team members as users like this manually is done when you have the company plan. And for example, if you already have single sign-on, this is available with the enterprise plan with Boxcryptor. So the enterprise plan starts with 50 users as a minimum. And in addition to the single sign-on, there is also the option to have the SKIM protocol activated so that, let's say, in addition to managing all of your users through your identity provider, you can also reflect any changes that you do on your Active Directory groups to your Boxcryptor team account. So if you remove a user or add a user, create a group or remove a group, so thanks to the single sign-on and SKIM combination, this will be reflected to your Boxcryptor team account, so you won't have to come here and do the same things. Otherwise, if you're using the company plan without the single sign-on, the management is done through the administrator console. And as you can see, it's fairly simple. So now, while we are at the user section, you can do several things when it comes to the users that you have already added. So one of them would be to grant the administrator rights to another person, which is something that we recommend because maybe if you're just a single administrator for your entire company, and it happens so that on some day maybe you're not available and you can't undertake some action. So in this case, it's always nice to have another person which is also an administrator like you, so that this other person can act on your behalf if necessary. Currently with Boxcryptor, the administrator rights are on the same level for everybody. So whatever you can do as an administrator, if you grant somebody else the rights, he or she can also do the same as you. And in future, we are planning on introducing a different administrator levels. Let's say something like a super admin and regular administrator, so that the super admin will be, let's say, the person that will have access to the master key, while the rest of the administrators might be responsible for managing other stuff within the team account, like groups and different projects, etc. So something else, when, let's say, as I said, if a person leaves the company, or if you have granted somebody the user, a user seat in the example that I have mentioned, let's say if you have a team that collaborates with external people for a certain period of time, and this project is now over, so the external people don't need the access to the data anymore, what you would do is disable the user account in this case. So you won't go and use the delete option immediately. You would instead use the disable option first. Why? Because when you disable the user through the master key, you still have access to the user's keys. So in case there is a data that has been encrypted and hasn't been shared with anybody else from this user, you can still decrypt this file. Otherwise, if you go ahead and just delete the user account, so you're also removing their set of encryption keys from the master key, and afterwards, if there is some data being left out, you can't access it. No, you won't be able to decrypt it or open it. So this is why we recommend that you first go with the disable option. And once you are sure, use the delete option. It doesn't even matter if you would delete a person or not. Of course, like if you are managing everything manually and for the sake of having a clearer view of the active users, you would remove somebody that doesn't need access anymore. But by disabling a user account, what happens is that you get one free seat back. So let's say if you have team account with 50 users and 5 people don't need access to the data anymore, you disable their account. So you have now 5 free user seats, which you can assign to other team members as soon as somebody new joins the team. Okay, so that's it for the users. You also have the option to connect your user directory like LDAP or Active Directory, Dropbox Business. So these are the options. What this does is just it makes a connection with your Active Directory and copies the users. So everything else, as I said, if you want to have the same groups created within your Boxcryptor team plan and you want to have the changes being reflected, then you would be looking at the single sign-on option, which means the enterprise plan. After the users, you have the groups section. So this is the place where you create different groups, as I said, for either different teams or different projects within the team. So it really depends on how the people that you want to give access to the encrypted data. And then you have the policy section. So this is really an extensive section with so many options that you can use from when it comes to restricting, let's say, access. If you would prefer to allow your team members to work only from a certain IP range, from a certain country or a continent. So whenever somebody, let's say, goes outside and they are not able to work with the encrypted data. And you have also other availabilities which you can check out during the trial. All of this is available for the testing, and it's not just a test account that you're getting. It's actually like a full feature set, so you can see how Boxcryptor behaves on your side, how it implements within your own current infrastructure. And for example, one thing that many clients of Boxcryptor use is the combination of disabling the group management for the users together with the disallow permissions modification. This means that you as an administrator will be the person that will manage groups, create groups, add and remove people, as well as the person which will set the access permissions without worrying that somebody from the team members will, let's say, unnecessarily remove or add people or just mess up with access permissions or the group. So this is something that you can use if needed. And one friendly advice, especially when you're testing out or activating the access restriction policies, please exclude yourself as an administrator so that if you need to amend the policy or anything else from the administrator features, you can still sign in and make the changes, because when you activate the policy, you get an option to choose if you want to activate it for everybody or you want to exclude it for individuals or groups. Like it really depends on your preferences. Almost at the end, you have the activities section. So this is the place where you see what has been done with the Boxcryptor client and the Boxcryptor software. So here you want to be seeing logs of which data has been encrypted, with whom has a user shared the access with, and things like that, because simply Boxcryptor doesn't have access to it by not having access to your actual data. So here you will see the activities that are related to the Boxcryptor client, like as you can see who has signed in, and the web app. Also, for example, if as an administrator, you will be able to see if there were failed sign-in attempts, if you or any of the other administrators have created groups, added or removed people. So really just the logs that are related to the Boxcryptor client and the web app. You can choose which user would you like to see the logs from, what type of activity, and also the period of time that you want to review, and you can export this data, and afterwards you can add it, let's say, to your CM for a further analysis if needed. And right at the end, you have the information about your team license. So typically here, when you start the trial, you will see your trial validity. And also when you have an active team license, you will see how many users do you have and until when is your license active. So that's it when it comes to working with the administrator console. And just a quick information before I let you go about the team plans. So the team plans with Boxcryptor are in steps by 5, with company 5 being the smallest one. And as I said, if you would need more than 50 users and also single sign-on, you would be looking at the enterprise plan. So I hope you had a chance to get to know Boxcryptor better. You will get my contact details along with the recording from today's session via email. And if you have any questions or any feedback that you would like to share with me, I will be happy to hear back from you. And of course, we will be definitely in touch as soon as you start your Boxcryptor trial. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I wish you a nice day or night, depending on where you have joined me today. Bye.